Hi there, everybody. Welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. My name is Kate. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk about some unpleasant stuff. That seems to be the bread and butter these days, is to let's pull into reality, because if we're alive right now, we might be noticing there's some very funky stuff that's happening. If we're alive right now and we're not noticing that, we might be one of those people that, oh, denial, it's not even a river in Egypt. No, it sure isn't, and the earth is flat. So I don't like living in a state of denial, because I lost a lot of years myself personally to that state of denial, of not wanting to look at the unpleasant truth that sometimes people who are very, very, very ego-driven and ego-identified, sometimes they will do the most horrible things whenever they feel challenged or threatened, or they've held a position of seeming power or actual power for years and years, and they get comfortable there. When we want to separate from that, break away from it, or change the paradigm, which the universe is doing for us, it's not like we're in trouble. That's the way the universe is moving us, is the paradigm is shifting. But when we want to go along with that, and we're ready to break out of those toxic cycles and disconnect from enmeshed and very poorly defined relationships where boundaries are not respected, they're not acknowledged, we're just this porous, absorbing thing where we're all together in a nut roll. Sometimes people don't want to do that anymore, and when they want to break away and they're not allowed to do that, or it challenges those figureheads within that group that, you know, have their measure of control, whatever it is, however it used to happen. When we try to break out of that, people get angry because they settle into those egoic positions out of comfort. They don't want to reach into, why would you want to control? Why would you want to monster down on someone? Why would you need to have your clamped fist on something and, you know, keep it? Those are issues related to fear. I'm not going to have what's mine. People won't see me as important. I won't have control. It's all very fear-based. When we drive with our ego in charge, we don't really exhibit a great deal of courage, because the ego doesn't require actual courage. The ego is living off of bravado, which is not really courage. That's really just BS. It's dressed up looking like courage. However, it's riding on the bones and stones of other people, usually. So I've never seen it, honestly. I won't say never, because, you know, that's not my style to clamp down. However, I've never seen it myself where ego-driven people are doing things based in anything but fear. When you knock it back to what's the very, you know, final kernel analysis of this, let's get it to the nugget of what? Reality and truth. Actual truth, not false prophet, false light, false white, you know, love and light, not that. And also not over there with the, you're condemned to hell for everything you've ever done. There is a balance here, and it is not based in anything having to do with either polarity. It has to do with balancing what is the truth. Not the truth as I see it, not the truth as I want to see it, and deny the rest that's right here that I just don't want to see that. It is the truth of a situation. Me personally, had I been willing to notice, recognize, and actually execute some, you know, severing of ties early on, I could have really spared myself a great deal of trouble and a great deal of concern and anxiety for years and years and years, because I wasn't willing to look at something, call that out, and say, yeah, that's predatory and I don't do that. The best way that we can help the universe understand that we understand is to disconnect from those places where, if someone is doing something that is a takedown, even if it's not of me personally, if I'm observing that that person's willing to do that, they're willing to have a disposable population, they're willing to, you know, throw something out of a car, a living creature out of a car, yeah, we just don't want that cat anymore, we're gonna throw it out, or a whole human being, or we're just going to take this money because we deserve it more than another. When people get into those positions where they play the Justice League in their own mind, and then they start really executing those maneuvers out here, that's dangerous stuff. And for a long time, sometimes scapegoat people will sit in those positions observing that and take on all the gaslighting and the bullshit that comes with it, because the people that are perpetrating those crimes, and they're actual crimes, yes they are, on earth and well above it into, you know, the ethers where it really, really matters and where it displays on earth. And so when we're observing that and not disconnecting from it, we're scapegoated, we're gaslit, and we believe that somehow we're supposed to be love and light about this, or, you know, be some ascended master. Be the ascended master that understands what Jesus already said, which is, you're in my temple acting like an ass, you got to stop this, get out. You know, we have free will. And so free will allows us to grow our beast, our evil despot, all we want to. However, when we really understand truth, the truth, universal truth, not the truth, take what you want and leave the rest. Take the truth, that if there's a human being who is willing to sacrifice another human being on any level, they don't deserve it, because on any level, it is only a matter of time before you become the devil, my friend. And if you don't believe me, take a look around. We have currently on the world stage, we have demonstration every single day that Kali Yuga is absolutely in play. We are in the tail end of a very brutal age of understanding, misunderstanding, redesigning, retooling, refiguring, rejiggering, and reschooling a bunch of crap that we can move out of it, because we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is a completely different paradigm. In the age of Aquarius, we're not coming from an egoic position where I have superiority over you. I'm the white light. I'm the prophet. I'm the something. Jesus hopped up off his cross. It was a brutal experience. Not going to downgrade that at all. However, he ascended off the cross and asked us to do the same. That means that he went beyond, he transmuted and said, forgive them, these fools, because they have no idea what they're doing. They're ignorant, and I'm out. And he went and ascended and moved on. It didn't change, though, the fact that Jesus Christ energy, Christed energy, Christ consciousness, the joining of masculine and feminine energies together in a balanced and healthy way, under the new paradigm understanding, which is the only way that that's going to happen, is to bring those two into alignment. The only way that happens is to get truthful about it. And once we do, then we can move into the ascension process more quickly, more speedily, and more easily, by understanding that Jesus Christ consciousness, that consciousness continues to ascend. We don't just stop and say, well, I'm saved and I'm good now that I know the holy book, or my holy self-righteous position, wherever it comes from, because believe me, the Bible's bastardized just like millions of other sacred texts, you know. So this is not about disparaging of any one sacred text. It's about human beings taking their ego, putting that in charge, and then interpreting it. It is about taking, rather, the sacred text or the sacred knowledge, arcane, however it is that we come to understand that we take that in and understand it within the new paradigm, which has nothing to do about stating my superiority over you and why I deserve something more than you. I deserve it because I'm saved. I deserve it because I'm a new thought person. I deserve it because I'm a spiritual angel, or I'm a earth angel. I deserve it because the minute that somebody tells me with their mouth, definitely, and with their action, that they deserve something more than someone else, we're already in a, I'm not interested, because that's the old paradigm. That's somebody that is, pardon me, refusing to understand that we're not there anymore. Can we not see the world stage is breaking apart? It's tearing down. In Kali Yuga style, man, it's tearing down every bit of the paradigms that we've ever understood. And some of the most evil despots that we've seen around the world are acting out all of their rage at being finally busted, finally brought to, you can't do this anymore. You're being brought, not justice. That's something I really just, I don't like to hear. Well, he's getting his, he deserves that. What is going on is the assigning and the accountability of the consequences. Something out, something back. Something out, something back. If it was horrible going out, eventually it comes back. It's just that the turnaround now is way hella faster, because cosmic time has continued to move on. Even for the slow humans of us that refuse to pick up that it's tearing your whole entire life apart, and you still want to handle that situation this way with no observation of that you might have a part in this, or what is it, or are you going to take some accountability, or at least look at the reality that you're possibly playing with predators. You know, when we aren't willing to do that work and we're still doubling down trying to throw it out there somewhere, we're getting the return back on that much faster. And if we're paying attention, I mean, look around. If we're paying attention, we can see it. It's being mauled, it's being taken down, because that system is no longer what's working. Now, when we're trying to break away from it, pardon me, getting all kinds of notifications. When we're trying to break away from that, the best thing that we can do is continue to send the message to the universe that I'm done. I don't do that anymore. And that takes a great deal of real honest courage. And what really is courage? Courage is faith. And what really is faith? Faith is the belief that I absolutely am loved, protected, and I can handle this. I got this. And 11:11. And when we don't really know that, we don't really have any way to demonstrate that to ourselves, that's when we start trying to manipulate out here so that we see a direct correlation between I'm in charge, I did that, and I have control. Unfortunately, that's not courage, it's not faith, it's manipulation, bastardization, and doing things like 10% tithe will get you everything you want. All you have to do is just have a different consciousness about the same old paradigm. And no, we're not there anymore. The way to manifest is to let the universe know that I understand the new paradigm, that this is a collaborative effort, that there is enough for everyone, that I don't need to market everything about my life or be marketed to. And I don't get into the predator games, not even when I'm mad, not even when somebody did it to me, that I don't return revenge. I don't play that game because I'm not willing to get down like a gangster, because I don't want to go down like a gangster. So for me personally, I didn't have a problem with the gangster thing in terms of I didn't ever like predatory behavior. I hated it because it was what was being shown to me, and that I was on the receiving end of a lot of very, snarky, terrible things. And I'm going to be Christ-like and forgiving, which is beautiful. However, that's not forgiving to continue to tell the universe that I understand that that's really ugly. However, I'm going to sit here and try to fix this broken system that's the old paradigm. I'm letting the universe know that I haven't quite gotten this yet. For whatever reason, my own ego, whatever it is, that my lack of understanding, the truth of this is that I haven't quite understood yet that reality and truth is that observe what you see and then disconnect from anything that is not serving thee. And if it's serving you, what is it serving you? How is it serving you? And why is it serving you? What need is it reaching in and satisfying that we cannot do this on our own, we think? And when I started having to really look at those things and realize that I'm sacrificing years and years and years, my body, my mind, and all this sadness is just piling in and piling in. Well, the only way that I was given in my own understanding and my own interpretation, and actually listening to, reading, observing, and absorbing all of these sacred texts, many, many, many of them beyond the Bible is just one of many. But when I started really taking in and embracing who and what I really am, as I'm not a predator. I don't like it when I let myself go into those places of, attack and all of that. I didn't like it. I did not like it. I didn't like it. And I knew it was wrong. However, still aligning with it in any way whatsoever is still out of tune and doing the wrong thing. It's not there anymore for us to sacrifice any portion of ourselves to understand and know the truth. The truth is, okay? If we've been predatory, get honest about where we've been predatory. If we're on the receiving end of predatory, get honest about why am I still here to be playing this game? Apparently I don't understand. And man, I was blind all day for a minute with a whole bunch of, love and light kind of stuff, and then some very, very conservative, very, very conservative understandings that you're bad cuz. And my understanding and my willingness to embrace anything other than the age of Aquarius is about community. You have something you can bring more than an evil despot, and we're encouraged by the universe to submit and surrender to what is the core understanding of what we really already know about ourselves, which is that we're cosmically aligned, we're cosmically designed, and we're built in that quantum field of loving energy. We just are. The highest vibrational fields are not down here. That's true, they're not. However, Earth is ascending in her own energetic fields, and it is growing in consciousness. She is. And those people that absolutely are refusing, you see them losing. You see them absolutely being brought down, because the universe is saying, we're loving and we're kind. The universe is loving and kind. It does not look that way, though, when we're fighting against it. That growth is happening. This process of maturing and evolving is happening with or without your consent. You can go along, and go with that synchronicity, or you can fight against it. However, it's going. And the universe, as well as the natural world, all supports us doing things in a kind and loving way. We get to choose, though. So we get to choose if we want to believe that. We get to choose if we want to trust that. We get to choose if we have the faith, the courage, and the willingness. That's how we start that, is the willingness to even believe that we don't need to be in there meddling heavily to make sure that things happen. I'm not at all aligned with people who teach manifestation is that you just monster up with, do this for that particular person, get this way, I want that particular thing, because that's the old paradigm of manipulation. Okay, there's nothing wrong with manifestation. It's just maybe consider that under the new paradigm, manifestation embraces the fact that there is more than enough resource for every single person. And if I'm holding in my mouth some concept or some belief that the Browns from out of towns really don't deserve, they should get a job, well, coming from a white lady who, seems quite privileged in the face of that, that might not go over very well, and it doesn't, or I make my rationalization for how I can do this religion because, well, we just don't do that part of their own sacred text. I'm like, do you understand your own hypocrisy? And people they don't want to look at it, because it means that I need to have the courage to be honest with the fact that I've been a liar, and a liar to myself, a liar to other people. And there doesn't have to be any shame on that. However, if you're hanging out with people who are willing to shame you, who are willing to remind you of every horrible thing you've ever done, that's the old paradigm. I would consider running really quickly and disconnecting. So for me personally, especially now, with every takedown on national news and international news everywhere, not just with all that, chaos in our own political arena here in the US, look around the world and you see the breakdown of all of those horrible patriarchal, which patriarchal can happen through matriarchal. It heavily distorts male and female energy and man and woman greatly. But when you see that overpowering, overbearing age of Pisces junk, you observe it and you take it in and get the lesson that where might I be aligning with that, and to let the universe know, so that that manifestation begins to really, really grow and understand that what I'm drawing to me is what is for me. And I care less about what it looks like specifically, because I know that I'm already taken care of. There's more than enough. When I'm willing to align with all of that, then I disconnect from all those places where that isn't happening. It takes a great deal of courage to walk as a lone warrior or a lone wolf. It really does. And yet there's a great liberation, a great deal of liberation and emotional freedom and sovereignty that comes from being able to say, I'm more important to this operation because I'm more committed to the good of the whole, and I cannot support you not having the same goal. And it doesn't mean I have to hate on people or spit on them or, you know, do things to them. As a matter of fact, it's a direct contradiction to do that. And so the teaching is not about punishing someone. It's about separating and keep it moving, because people are allowed to choose. You can be evil queen, sure, go ahead. I don't have to stay there though and try to convert that, save that, forgive that. I need to be away from that because it's highly dangerous. People will beat you up. They will physically assault you. They will steal your stuff, go felon. I watched people go into felonious behavior, lying in court, forging documents, stealing mail, identity theft. I mean, things that blew my mind just in my own personal life, never mind what's happening on the world stage, which is just the grander demonstration of what's happening in homes everywhere, in yours, right next door, wherever, it's happening everywhere. But there is no need to punish back. It's a matter of get away from it before you're killed. You know, I don't personally subscribe to Akashic records that say that I have to succumb to this and it has to be this way. And disconnect those contracts that no, everything has changed. It's all shifted. We're moving into this brand new paradigm, and we're in the transition period where people are, you know, confused and combative. Then they're allowed to be that. They just may not be that in my life. And I encourage anybody else that you don't have to do that, because once we separate it out, it's letting those people know and those systems know that you've got no place to go, bro. You are done. We are over. And it helps to lessen the food source, lessen the energetic input into what is already a horrible system. By allowing people to suffer the consequences, I'm not judge and jury on it. It's disconnect and allow that to have whatever consequence it has without sitting down with the popcorn and watching the train wreck. That's disgusting. And I don't like to hear it from spiritualists, especially. Well, they'll get what they deserve. Well, yeah, gravity says the same thing whenever I trip and fall. You know, karma's the same. We don't need to announce it. And when we do, we're still in that old paradigm, stuck in ego because of our own pain. And it's, believe me, a challenge. I'm not suggesting that it isn't a challenge. It is. However, it is our challenge not to add to the fray. Otherwise, we're continuing to send mixed message to the universe about what we understand. Me personally, the last month or so, this is a timeless message, of course. However, the last month or so, with the shifts that have happened, major shifts from Lionsgate on has been just running. Serious gateway from July on has been pretty intense. Mercury retrograde, pretty intense. Lots of planets aligning and lots of things going on. So for me personally, the way that I continue to demonstrate, every time I feel some fear being thrown my way, or I've got anger all around me all of a sudden just showing up, that people, by the way, they'll get into their projections in a lot of different ways, and when they put it into that dark magic venue, it's real. It's very real. It's not real for me personally. I don't abide that stuff, and you know, absolutely not. I deal with it when it shows up, though. I'm not going to pretend like that people aren't throwing their ass around, because they are all over the place. It just so happens for me personally that, you know, I come from a background where there's been some pretty dark energy and some pretty dark energy manipulation and use of some very dark stuff. That's me personally. However, people's mouth saying and doing and being dark and nasty, they don't have to necessarily do an incantation and, you know, rattle chicken bones. Their mouth can just be moving and executing with their fingers all kinds of internet ranger stuff that will get the same effect if we allow that to bring on the fear. And so what I've had to learn how to do is disconnect on every level. Every time every devil shows up, deal with it. Like, what is it in me that feels afraid that whatever might be angry, upset, you know, pissed, blah, blah, blah. So what? Why is that bothering me? And disconnect from all the identities that, you know, I owe a particular role, something. We're no longer there, where I'm going to ignorantly stand around anyway. Other people are ignorantly standing around, and others are woke or whatever, enlightened. I mean, we're all in our different places doing our different things. So not meaning to throw shade, it's just easy to do so, that I don't want to stand around ignorant and not seeing the truth and the reality that this does not serve me. And so if the role of XYZ is not that for realsy, and it's an unhealthy relationship, then it is disconnected from me. Doesn't matter what the role used to be, what it was in the past, we're not there anymore. So I personally, I continue to do that when that shows up, to go, yep, disconnect, disconnect, disconnect. And there was such freedom in the last week, so much freedom. I needed to go to a doctor's office and they asked for an emergency contact. There was so much freedom in being able to put none, just leave it blank, because that's just where I am in my own particular world, and I'm okay with that, because I would rather be demonstrating to the universe and telling the universe that I'm done with the old paradigm. I don't care what the roles were. I don't care what the expectations were. It was toxic. It was old, broken, wrong, terrible. When people are deliberately trying to harm me, I definitely need to continue to send the message to the universe that I'm separating myself from that everywhere that it's brought up. And interestingly enough, right after I just put nothing, I took the emergency contacts out of my phone. I don't have any other than where I live to make sure that my animals are taken care of should there be an emergency. I'm not going to live with the fear that what happens if. I took care of it by answering that call exactly when it came up, that, okay, fine, then disconnect some more. I don't need that, because that's demonstrating greater faith that even if I croak, my cats and my dog will be taken care of whether I have an emergency contact or not. And I'm not willing to trade any part of me to carry around in my consciousness, or that energetic tie, that there might be somebody from my past that would be brought into my future or my relevancy now, that I wouldn't want to have that relationship with them. Then why would I consider that they would be my emergency contact? We're just not talking right now. No, I don't talk to old paradigm. That's the way that goes. And you know, maybe it changes when people move into the new paradigm. Maybe it does. Don't know. I just know I don't communicate with the old paradigm and try to call that the new one and love and light my way to that, because it caused way too much confusion, and it still does, to not get honest. So for me personally, snip, snip, snip. And interestingly enough, the very next day, the universe likes to play and say, you know, did you mean that? I have Google Photo. I've got a million different photos, right? And so it'll remind me of pictures from this many years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is. And as things are coming up, like, okay, remove that from my my memory. Thank you very much for bringing that back, that if there's a picture of any person, anything, any situation that's going to bring up an energetic response of any kind that is, you know, it got that stank on it, then it's removed. Some of them, a lot of them, I just deleted them altogether. However, there were others that had suggestion of something that, no, I'm disconnecting that. And it has nothing to do, absolutely nothing to do with being 27, being kind or loving or forgiving and all that other stuff. It is simply telling the universe, I'm not willing to go back to the old paradigm or consider that that's a memory that I really want to remember. I remember the relevancy and slider, that stinks, and I don't want any part of that. Then how can I continue to demonstrate and prove to myself and to the universe greater understanding and faith and courage that I don't have to return to that as some long lost memory? I don't have to try to say, you know, that, well, that was, I don't even have to get into the game, because it's not going to get brought up in the first place. And everywhere that I can demonstrate that, then I have. And when I'm asked to, in prayer, in meditation, in inspiration, whatever other people call that, when I know and I'm listening very carefully, I know, okay, today's the day we're going to drop all of the emergency contacts. They don't work anymore. Then cool, that's fine. Change phone number, change your email, do whatever. I mean, I answer the call, 2828. I answer the call because it's letting the universe know that the universe said, hey, do you want to do it that way? Nope, I sure don't. I want to disconnect and continue, because my commitment is to the greater good. And I'm lying to myself as well as other people if I'm sitting around calling something good that really is just asking for hood pass. And that's some bullshit that will leave people, especially empaths, light workers, starseeds, you know, people that are just loving and kind and have that childlike energy. We don't want to be perceived as being mean, and we can get over it, because it's going to look mean to people who don't want to play by the rules. We're not in the old paradigm anymore. We're transitioning over into the new one. And so it will appear very mean. Someone that has had an intervention for drug addiction or something along those lines is going to appear very, very mean, isn't it? They're going to have all kinds of things to say. To me, this is the exact thing that's going on right now, is that the cosmic intervention is saying, no, we're going to make this a huge demonstration, because that's what humans on the earth have built. We built this place of brutality and justice and all of this confrontation. We've built that. That was that age of Pisces. However, we've cosmically aligned that we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and I don't want to fight it anymore. And where I see that people still are, they're obviously going down, and it's not very successful. And faces out here can be saying anything they want to and say, I'm not worried about this, I'm not worried about that. However, I can feel very much, the terror all around the situations. When I go into a grocery store and there's someone barking, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of mood lability issues and emotional instability that we've already not dealt with. And the universe is just, the energies are pounding. And when we're weak, and we lack the courage to even be willing to do something different, we are going to feel smashed. We're going to feel smushed by this entire situation and possibly get into all of the victimization some more. And the only way that I know how to take agency of it is that when something comes at me that brings me fear, I don't want to say, I'll never feel fear again. Are you kidding me? I rely on my fear to inform me. It's just that not getting stuck in it, not letting that define how the rest of my day is going to go, because good God, I did that for 50 years. I grew up in a combat zone and then continued to play that brutal game for a lot of years. And so now, because that's not my daily state of being, to live in the constant crisis state of, oh God, I don't know what to do. Where do I go? What do I say? I don't live there. Then my fear informs me in a much more educated and higher consciousness kind of way. It's letting me know I sense danger. I don't have to fall into the fear of it. That's where growing the courage comes, is that I'm willing to stand in the face of this, look at this and say, what is this? And when I can get better and better and better and better and better about that, then I'm able to discern that, oh, that's some bullshit from somewhere else. That's not me. That's just tapping into some place in me. It's inviting me to look at that and say, do you want to go back to that old way? And it's my choice. And the victorious moment and the courageous moment when I can be willing to say, okay, let me look at it, and be willing to know that that's not mine. And even if it was, it doesn't have to be mine anymore. I'm not required to carry around the belief that someone else can ruin my life through dark magic or dark intention, whatever it is. I don't have to believe that. And I also don't have to succumb to it when they try. Because I'm not telling you people haven't tried all over the place. I'm saying that it's no longer in a place where you're going to want to stand still or slow, probably. I didn't anyway, because I darn near got killed myself. And so learn quickly that no, this is a completely different league now of people that are very heavily ego-identified, are extremely angry and triggered. And the more unstable they are, the more they bark in grocery stores and just start, doing the wildest things. And they get physically aggressive, some of them. They get financially. I mean, it goes in a million different ways. And the truth still remains that I listen very carefully and allow that fear to inform me. Then I protect myself the way that I know how, which is what I'm given right here, to sometimes go take those emergency contacts. You don't have them anymore. Do this, do that, remove yourself over here. Don't do that anymore. And also make very conscious maneuvers as I know to do. And then be prudent as a human being to logically frontal lobe stuff about how I would protect my finances, how I would protect whatever. And know too that people are going to do what they're going to do, and allow them the space because I'm not going to go spy on other people to see if they're spying on me. That's all a game. I've got to demonstrate faith somewhere. Then the faith that I want to be demonstrating is that I'm listening very carefully, growing this, knowing this, and seeing demonstrated proof of that improvement and feeling in my overall body, and the massive amounts of healing and emotional stability that has been gained by cutting all of that out. Then I'm going to believe that this system works for me. Whether it works for anybody else or not, irrelevant, because my ego doesn't need anybody to join me, and it also doesn't need to shame anyone else. I need to identify that that's not how I want to do my life. It clearly does not work for me. I've already tried that, and take my mouth out of having too much of an opinion. The observation is one thing. However, the putting some energy on it will immediately create a connection and like a hashtag back to that. So eliminating small steps, big steps, everywhere that they are, eliminating every single one of those little hashtag thingies that might bring this back to relevancy for me. The more I continue to cut it away, the more I attain my freedom and my sovereignty from any of that old and dense energy. It's needing to transform, it's needing to heal, it's needing to alchemize, it's needing to do whatever it needs to do. I'm not responsible for it. I'm only responsible for me and alchemizing and moving through the energy that I might feel as I'm triggered, perhaps. And that's what brings the courage and the healing, is being able to trust that I know what I'm feeling, I get this, and yes, I need to disconnect. It causes grief, causes emotional pain, and it's not easy necessarily. However, those moments are brief compared to that being my way of life for the first 50 years, then I'm going to say that for me personally, and I believe others too, however, I'm not in charge of their journey, that the better way to go with that is to go with the synchronistic flow that's already intact. We're moving into this age of Aquarius where we don't have these battle points, because I'm not here to battle with you about what you're doing. I'm here for the greater good of all, without sacrificing and being martyred in ways that I don't want to be that martyr. Jesus didn't ask us to do that. That's not what that was. Buddha didn't say anything about it. Aristotle, Plato, any of the great masters, and none of the arcane knowledge will you find any of that stuff. And when we subscribe to theories about, greater beings coming here and overtaking and all of that, then how much faith are we really demonstrating for realsy? If we fall into conspiracies about somebody has the power too. The deep state is our own ignorance. That's the cabal, secrets out, is that we are our own worst enemy when we do not allow ourselves to find the way towards our sovereignty in growing courage and faith in whatever it is that we choose to believe in. And if we choose to believe in things that bring up terror in us, or bring up that opposition of, I've got to fight this, I've got to deal with it. I'm not fighting any of it. When any of that stuff comes in, I need to deal with it and neutralize it. However, battle with it, that's a completely different paradigm, and it sets up completely different energy. And if I'm subscribing to beliefs or systems or other people or their bullying or their whatever, their intimidation or their story, whatever it is, because I don't want to grow my own faith in myself or my God or my spiritual understanding or whatever, then we are going to live in that perpetual cycle. Unfortunately, that is what you see happening. And people that are stubborn, they're allowed to be as driven into their ego as they want to be. And it's quite disgusting to watch. It's hard to watch. Even some of the most evil villains across the world right now, it's hard to watch the mental decay and the, is there any awareness of how embarrassing that is? I've watched it myself in my own personal life going, oh my goodness, is there any conscious understanding of just how ew? And even that, I can't put a whole lot of emphasis on that wrong syllable. I need to be over here looking at myself and saying, there's great compassion. People have painted themselves into horrible corners, and as they go down, they get more embarrassing and they lose more touch with reality because they already weren't there. So rather than hop on board and go, ha 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 ha, that also is a predatory thing that I don't want to join. And when I do, when I feel myself going, I'm actually brought back into check with, are you sure, Kate, that you want to do that? Because I thought you said this. And that's where honing that skill of listening very carefully, skip all the judgment and recrimination about it. I don't have to shame myself about it. However, if I'm not going to shame myself about an ignorant thought, then I can't be a truth speaker who's standing in the light doing everything like this and really hold that as a truth. If I'm going to find any part of it amusing or retribution, you know, revenge is what that looks like. And there wasn't any bit of that, as I heard, any part of the Bible I have heard. And the only thing that I subscribe to is not the Bible, is the spiritual truth and the universal law is that retribution, all of that, that's taken care of. We're required as human beings to act with integrity, go forth with honesty, and move with the understanding that we are working for the greater good. That's where we are. And for every place that we haven't done that, it serves us far better to just grow some and deal with where we have not been that, where we have not done that, and where we have actively gone in the direction of causing harm for other people and ourselves. And when we can't pony up to that, then you see all of this very weak, and it's a very cowardly position that I'm going to bark out here and, you know, demand that other people join me and become my accomplice. It makes all of that karmic return what you see. And there doesn't have to be, you know, grab the popcorn and find this hilarious. I observe it because I want to be situationally aware. If something's getting ready to blow up around me, you know, I wish to be situationally aware. However, watching it and having anything less than compassion for, wow, that is brutal, and I'm going to go and connect with nature. I'm going to go and connect with my animals here. I'm going to go connect with myself. I'm going to go, you know, touch plants and trees and, you know, bond with the natural world, or do whatever it is that serves the greater good of me so that I can serve the greater good of humanity. And it sounds like, you know, goody two-shoes and all that, and it'll have to sound however it sounds. However, that's really the work that we're being asked to do, is to pull back into understanding that this is about us as individuals and finding our spiritual sovereignty and our emotional stability through that, and that we're really not going to find it. If we were going to find it that old way, we would find solace and comfort in that whole struggle of good and bad. And, you know, if othering worked, then you'd see a whole bunch more happy people right now. And what you actually see, really see, isn't anything close to that, because that's the old paradigm and it doesn't work. The new paradigm is all-inclusive, doesn't say doo-doo about allowing people to misbehave. However, the whole punitive thing, we can skip that and speak about it in terms of consequences. There's action, and then there's consequences for our action. And take out all that snark and whatever. There is a lot of snark, and it's going to be years in the making to make that transformation. We're obviously at the tail end of one and moving into another. However, every single person in our consciousness, every single one of us, every single place, that everywhere that we can drop that dot of, yes, I understand, then we are building into the new paradigm, not just for ourselves, for future generations. So thank you very much. I hope that you've enjoyed this or gotten something useful from it. May you enjoy your day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine. Your divine is absolutely fine. No matter how it's been decimated, torn down, and redesigned, your divine is absolutely fine. Your blueprint already knows very well how to do you. When you connect with that, it doesn't matter what any other fool says out there. You can learn how to be far more compassionate with yourself for being ignorant and with others as you separate, and, you know, have no emergency contact if that's what needs to happen at whatever level it is. That, nope, the denial thing, work it in your favor, that no, I deny that that's a part of my life anymore. Not denial of the truth. The truth is that that needs to not be a part of my life anymore, and I'm going to deny that it is by cutting it off. And that demonstrates to the universe that I'm serious about what I'm saying, and the quality of life improving dramatically I'm gonna believe that that's the way to go for me personally, and back out of believing that I know what's best for anybody else. Despite what I've seen in my own life, the free will allows for other people to do their life the way that they want to. However, it does not allow for other people to do their life over top of me, or for me to do my life over top of anyone else. That's the truth. So take care of you and enjoy your day, as I said, whatever part of the day you're in, and get within, because you're divine. It really truly is fine. Take care, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye, friends.